Hello everyone.
Hello.
I'm Tony.
And I'm Tali.
And we are the Lazy Book Lovers. This is a podcast for book lovers who procrastinate about reading and have never-ending to-be-read piles. Speaking of your to-be-read piles, so today's episode is a
trans book recommendation list. So these are books I have read. They're not on my TBR. These are ones I've
actually read.
I've picked out ones I've read because all of these lists are ones that just add to our TBR. So.
Yeah. So we're going to add to your TBR, but this is things that are off of yours specifically. Probably going to add to mine.
So in our timeline, it is currently the last day of the trans readathon. Trans rights readathon. So in your timeline, that happened like last month. But yeah, so you've missed it this time round if you didn't take part, but it happens, well, this is the second year, but it will be an annual thing at the end of March. So I've been reading lots of trans books this week, so I thought I would put together a little list for anyone else that wants to check out some trans authors. And when I say trans, I embody anything that is not of the binary, so anyone that is non-binary, gender fluid, two-spirited, etc., all falls under trans. So yeah, and I was just looking through and I've noticed that there's quite a lot of sci-fi actually.
Really?
Yeah, maybe
interesting.
Maybe trans authors tend to go for sci-fi.
Well, maybe it's easier to imagine a world where you're not marginalised.
Yeah.
To be some imaginary world and not this one.
So the first one, I have actually spoken about this before. I tried to pick books I haven't spoken too much about, but they've pretty much all turned up on at least a wrap-up or a reading update at some point. So this is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone and Amal Al-Motar. So you've read this now, haven't you?
Yep.
This is a novella. I can't remember how many pages.
About 200 pages,
yeah,
I thought.
198 pages. So
I always get confused with what is technically a novella.
Well, it's done on word count as well, not on pages. So, yeah. And then there's like a novelette and stuff. There's loads of different,
Never heard of novelette.
So this follows, it's dual POV. Each one is written by a different author, I believe. I don't know.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just thought that. I don't actually know if that's true, but that was my understanding.
It's true now.
But literally, I was just thinking, have I ever actually corroborated that, or did I just make that up myself? I don't know. Possibly.
That's right, I believe you.
It's a sci-fi romance, and it follows two characters who are on opposing side of a space and time war, and they kind of like to tease each other, and then they start leaving like little...
Because they're
messages
soldiers
for each other, yeah,
on the opposing sides who fight each other quite a lot, but in different parts of the timeline.
Yeah, they're both the best at what they do, and each other are pretty much the only rival they have that's like up to par. And then they kind of have, it turns from rivals to friends, like a bit of witty banter and
an
stuff.
Admiration for each other. It goes from like, oh, how fucking dare you beat me? Like, did you like what I did with this particular technique? Had you on the back foot? Haha. And they set traps for each other. To it becomes, I particularly liked what you did on that battlefield.
Yeah.
Congrats. Enjoy the trap I left you. And then it becomes more and more friends, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then eventually something that could be classed as romantic. I mean, it literally says it's a romance novel spanning time and space about two time-travelling rivals who fall in love and must change the past to ensure their future. It's all done via like notes they leave each other. It's like letters, I guess, and they're not just like a letter pinned somewhere. It's like hidden in the very structure of the building and things.
One of them is like nature based. One of them is technology based. So the nature one will send it to her. The other one in like an acorn that they have to like eat or burst open or something like that.
Yeah, and
or in the honey of a bee.
Upon like getting to know each other more, they start to realise that perhaps the war or what they're told they're fighting for is not the full truth and stuff.
Yeah.
They pack quite a lot in such a small space. I think it's very well written. The audiobook is very entertaining as well, if you'd like to go down that route. And I just think it's a really nice story. Like, I enjoyed it.
It's very... I feel like the word ethereal works here.
Whimsical, perhaps. Yeah. It's very character-based.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit plotless. Because they're jumping around the timeline all the time. But
yeah, I mean, you don't really get taught much about, like, the dynamics of it, or, like, the history, really.
No, it's kind of told through they ask each other questions, don't they? Like, in your world, what do you do for this part of growing up? We do this. And she's like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, you don't get, like, no world building.
No.
Really. You don't get any kind of info dumping. It's very much like a slice of life. That point in time, obviously, various points in time, but like that point in time, just in those particular characters. So yeah, very, very entertaining. Quick read. Yeah. Obviously, I recommend it. It's on my list, my recommendations list. So... be a bit awkward otherwise. Next on my list is Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. And this is a dystopian...
You see the cover? Mm-hmm. No, I don't recognise it. I feel like I recognise the name, but...
There is an alternative cover. This is a dystopian kind of Western book. Okay. And it's very much about queer identity and how that fits into the society. So I'll read a little touch of the synopsis. Esther is a stowaway. She's hidden herself away in a librarian's book wagon in an attempt to escape the marriage her husband has arranged for her. A marriage to a man who was previously engaged to her best friend. Her best friend who she was in love with. Her best friend who was just executed for possession of resistance propaganda. The future American Southwest is full of bandits, fascists and queer librarian spies on horseback trying to do the right thing. So, yeah, it's like pulpy Western but set in a dystopian future.
Okay.
And so there's these travelling librarians, and they go around in their little wagon and they hide propaganda in their books, and they just all happen to be queer, which is great.
I fully believe in the network of queer librarians. That could be a thing.
Right?
That could be such a thing.
Like, reading it, I'm just like, so this is true, right? And this is...
Can we find them?
176 pages, so another quite snappy one.
Oh, you like a snappy read, though?
Oh, yeah, I do. Sometimes it's just what you need, isn't it? Okay, so this one I've read twice. I actually reread it just like last night or the night before. 27th, yes, so like 2 nights ago. The Tea Dragon Society.
Oh, this is another one I need to go... Wait, where's my phone?
It's on KU.
I'm going to go put
the
this
whole
on my
series
list.
is on KU.
I'm going to do that now. You carry on.
This is a graphic novel, and it's a trilogy. The first one's called The Tea Dragon Society, and the series as a whole is called The Tea Dragon Society. So this is set in a fantasy world. I would say it's like... It says here gentle fantasy, which is a really good description. It's like cozy fantasy before cozy fantasy was a genre.
Yeah, because this was on a lot of that rec list I did for cozy fantasy, but it was like retroactively this has been categorised.
Yeah.
Oh, it's only 73 pages.
Yeah, it's only a little one. And all of them are quite little. So it follows various characters in this town, and it all kind of revolves around this little tea shop and a tea dragon society that they have there. And they have these little dragons. They're little pocket-sized pets, and from their head or their back grows little plants, and those leaves are used to make tea.
So you have how cute this was.
I know. You have them as like little companions, so only if they choose you, basically.
Oh, dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, tea dragon.
And all of the characters in it, they're not all of them are humans. Not all of them follow any kind of binary that we have in our world. There's a character who has Minette. She has lost all of her memories. She used to be like a priestess of a church, and then she lost all her memories, and yeah, it's just cute, and it's so beautifully drawn. Anything by Kay O'Neill is well worth picking up. I've read so many of their graphic novels now, and yeah,
I'm just looking.
Just
There's
such a cute series.
A box set of the paperbacks comes out in May.
Oh, I might have to get that.
Yeah, looks cute.
Yeah, so recommend. They're short, they're fun, kids could enjoy them.
Yeah, I've just seen someone saying their kid loved this book.
Yeah, I might have to introduce my son to it, actually, because I got the first one as a physical copy.
It's like 8 to 12 years.
Yeah.
But he could.
And there's a wheelchair user in it, which is great, because you don't often see things like that in fantasy. Because usually I think wheelchairs are seen as too our worldy to be in fantasy. So it's often either they have like some other magical contraption, or they're magically fixed. I use quotation marks because you're not broken if you're disabled. Like,
I think the only one that comes to mind is like Hunger Games, where BT gets in a wheelchair, but he's obviously out of the action when that happens.
And that's not really fantasy, is it? It's more dystopian.
I've seen others where they've got like
fantastical elements.
They've got disabilities in the sense of missing a leg, but have got a prosthetic, or like they've got chronic illnesses, but not necessarily wheelchair. No,
I'm always on the lookout for more fantasy involving disabled characters, so please let me know if you know of any. And next on my list is the first in a series, and I recommend the whole series, the Singing Hills Cycle series by Nghi Vo. So the first book is called The Empress of Salt and Fortune. Now these are short as well, 120 pages. I'm coming at you with some good book. You can tell I was thinking of like good books for readathons.
Yeah. That you can get through a few of them, like nice short reads.
Yeah, that really like. There's nothing better than a short book that manages to be a whole concept. And then you look at like some other books and
you're like, I've not said anything of worth for 200 pages. Like, what's going on?
Like, why is your editor not having a word? Come on, be more succinct. Be thoughtful in what you're writing.
Was that what we were saying the other week? There's definitely this trend towards longer books now.
Yeah. I've got too much I want to read. Waffle. Yeah. So the Singing Hills cycle, it's still coming out. I think the 5th one is just come out, or is just about to come out. Yeah, comes out I think next month or this month. Oh wait, we're April or May, something like that. And they're just like, Nghi Vo is writing love letters to the very act of storytelling, and it is just beautiful. Such elegant writing. So this first one, The Empress of Salt, they follow different characters, but there is a couple of characters that kind of drift in and out of the stories. Okay. So the first book follows Rabbit, who is a handmaiden and is quite literally a rabbit. And she's sold to the palace, and there she befriends the emperor's lonely wife. And it's like feminist fantasy. So, yeah, it's just great. I don't want to say too much because they're so short. They're all on Everand as well.
So you have a code for Everand?
I do, yeah. If you
That's
go
in
to
our card, isn't it?
I think it might be. It's definitely on mine. I think it's on ours. Yeah. So if you
so
go there, you get 2 months.
2 months free. And then if you choose to continue your subscription after that point, you'll get a free month.
I get a free month, yeah.
But other than that, we don't really get any kickback from it. So if you want to give Everand a go, so Everand is like technically undescribed. So when you click on it, it'll be scribed, but it's Everand. That's their audiobook and ebook section. They've given it a different name. Not sure why. But I can recommend. You can get quite a lot on there.
I think this series is also available on KU if you. I mean, if you want to go to
an Amazon,
if you prefer it as a digital, I have a link for Kindle in my card as well. If you want to give that a try, I think it's for 30 days for free. If you ever want to try any of the apps we talk about, I probably have a link for it. I've got one for Libro FM if you want to give them a try for audiobooks. I think I've got one for Audible. Just go and have a look.
Yeah, on my website, I've got Libro and Scribe now too.
Yeah, so go and check our things because there'll always be a code. Or if you can't find one, message us and one of us will have a code.
Yeah, probably.
Next is another graphic novel, which I read the other day. And it's called Mooncakes by Suzanne Walker, and it's illustrated by Wendy Xu. It's so cute. I mean, I'm going to say that about all the graphic novels, aren't I? This is like a YA fantasy kind of set in our world. So I'd say it's like it is an urban fantasy, cozy urban fantasy. I'm going to go with. I read this on Kindle Unlimited, so it's available on Kindle Unlimited, the deluxe edition. The deluxe edition is like 240 pages. I read it in a night. You know, you can do it. So it follows a witch. She lives with her 2 nans, the 2 grandmas, and they run a bookshop where they also sell witchy tomes to people. And she one night she goes to investigate some supernatural occurrences that are happening in the town. Like, her and her grandmas get hired to go investigate stuff that's happening. And she comes across a wolf, and the wolf turns out to be a young girl. Well, they're like young women who used to live in the town, that used to be her best friend. So the main character is Nova. Used to be Nova's best friend when she was little, and she always was in love with Tam, who is the wolf. And it turns out that Tam was always in love with Nova. So we got a little witch, a little werewolf. Nova has hearing aids. So there's a lot of discussion about like how the world isn't always catered to her with her hearing aids and stuff. And they have to team up to take out a demon. It's really cute. It's so beautifully drawn. And every single page with Nova on, I was lusting after her outfits. She has the most beautiful wardrobe. I was literally like, I'm setting up a Pinterest with just all of her outfits because I wish I could wear them.
But there was one, as a TikToker who does like, it's fit inspirations of like different outfits, and she's plus size but kind of like shaped like me.
Is it a fit, or is she just skinny? Is it that lady?
No, different lady. She literally just shows outfits for like pretty plus size.
Because it's nice to see outfits on different body types, and then you can see a body type that matches yours.
I don't know. The problem I have is she's got tits and I don't.
You need to find someone with your body type.
So I did comment. I was like, "Do you have any advice for someone who is similar shape to you, just a much smaller bust?" Because I feel like a lot of these outfits rely on the bust bringing you back out. There was a really nice one tied at the waist, and it was this long skirt, and I was like, I can't picture that on a body that's got the same hips and bum, and like a little bit of belly, but then no boobs.
I feel like a lot of plus size stylists and like fashion bloggers,
they assume they've got boobs.
And they usually turn their boobs into a feature. Because it does naturally kind of, where you're going to be wider at the hips and then going back out for boobs. Hourglass,
it is a really nice way to make that hourglass silhouette. And I was like, well, I just have that silhouette kind of in the way I'm shaped, like, luckily. And I was like, just my hips do go in a lot and go back out again, but with no boobs. And I was like, so I just commented, I was like, do you have any advice? She hasn't replied yet, but I don't know if she will.
Share the goods, please. By which I mean the clothes, not the boobs.
But I did notice she's got like where she buys her outfits from, and it's that cider.
Oh.
And I keep seeing plus size people say it's good.
Maybe you should give it a try sometime.
Anyway, that was off topic. Sorry, it was in my head because I literally just did the comment before you arrived, actually.
To change the tone a lot. Well, no, okay, I'll do this one. It's kind of halfway between cutesy and getting a little bit more serious with our books. Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki, and this is a sci-fi fantasy, and it has like 2 distinct storylines, but they do actually meet. So this describes it as good omens meets the long way to a small angry planet. That's quite a good description. So we follow a violin teacher or a violin prodigy. She makes a deal with a devil to make her better at the violin, but as part of that she has to entice 7 other violin prodigies and trade their souls, get them to trade their souls for success. She will live forever, basically. So at this point in the story, she is a teacher now. She's already had like her career. Now she teaches violin, and she comes across a transgender runaway who is a violin player. She does it on YouTube, and she's like, she's perfect. I'm going to train her up, and she can be the 7th soul. So she's done 6 souls, the last soul that she needs. And then a difference, a secondary storyline follows some aliens who have taken refuge on Earth, and they've opened up a donut shop.
I remember this one now. Yes. Wait, I was meant to put it on a list at the time, did I?
And it says here, the lives of these 3 women become entangled by chance and fate. It's a story of magic, identity, curses and hope, and a family worth crossing the universe for. And yeah, that is what it's about. So you have like this really serious, like a woman who is trying to convince someone to give their soul to the devil. And then on the other side, you have these aliens that are trying to craft the perfect donut. And it's just beautiful. And they do meet up, and it's just I love it. It's wonderful. And if you like the sound of like the story of like the violin side, there's a Netflix film called Perfection, which might be worth checking out. It's a horror film. Kind of gives slightly similar vibes. Next, so we've got 2 more that I want to talk about. But yeah, so that's the longest one, I think, and that's like just under 400 pages. But honestly, it's an enjoyable read, so you kind of zoom through it. It's another great one as an audio as well, if you prefer audiobooks. Next on my list is Feed Them Silence by Lee Mandelo. And this is a academic horror / sci-fi mix. So this is a novella. It's like under 200 pages, I think. Let me just double check. Oh, it's just over 100 pages, so there we go. And this follows a researcher who has helped to create this link is like an implant that they put into wolves, and then she puts this helmet on, and then she is inside the wolf, like seeing the world through the wolf's eyes, and they're using it to research how these wild wolves live.
That's cool.
They're the last wolves in this world. I think it's like a climate emergency thing has happened, so we've lost a lot of animals. She starts to get obsessed with being in the wolf's head.
I remember this one too.
And so it's about like her obsession with that, and also how it affects her relationship with her wife or her girlfriend. I can't remember if they're married. I think they are. And how her relentless pursuit for the research into these wolves' world is affecting her home life. And can she even tell the difference between humanity and wolf life anymore? And it's a very, very good book. Yeah, it's 100 pages. It's well worth picking up. It's a bit like... I don't
think I realised how short that was when you talked about it.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of plot. Well, a whole lot of things happen.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of drop straight into it, and then you just kind of have to... You have to keep up.
I quite like books where you kind of hit the ground running with the plot, though. Like, with what's going on.
It reminded me a lot of Our Wives Under the Sea. I can't remember who wrote that, but that's another good one to check out. I don't think there's any trans rep, or the author's trans, so that couldn't have gone on this list. But that is another great one to check out. The last one is...
power through.
I know,
You've been
right?
very efficient today.
Anything by Akwaeke Emezi, but in particular, I'm going to talk about Pet. which is a YA book. It's the first... Oh, yeah. So this was originally a standalone. And now there's a second one.
Okay.
So it's a pet series. It's a duology. But I really don't... I haven't read the second one yet, but I really feel like it didn't need a second one. Second one's actually a prequel. It follows Pet's mum.
Okay.
When Pet's mum was a child. But yeah, anyway, so this follows... It's set in a dystopian future. Oh, we're going for dystopian a lot, aren't we? Just another quick one. It's 200 pages. So it follows these children in the city of Lucille. We have... Oh, no, the main character's not called Pet. The main character's called Jam. There's another character called Pet. And it follows them in a world where there's no monsters anymore. Okay. That's just known. There's no monsters anymore.
All right.
And then Jam meets a creature called Pet, who has horns and claws and emerges from one of her mum's paintings. So Jam accidentally bleeds on their mum's painting, and then Pet comes out of it.
Oh, okay.
And Pet is like, well, I wouldn't exist if there were no monsters. So where is the monster? And away they go. It's really dark. You need to check the trigger warnings on this. I will give you the content warnings, actually. Child abuse, paedophilia and sexual assault.
Right.
So know that going into it. You can work out what the monsters are as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Very, very good book. And they just, like... I don't know how Akwaeke Emezi does it, but they just create this world that just makes sense so quickly.
Just like really rich and just there right off the bat,
just,
like you're just in it.
Honestly, you're like one chapter in and you've got no questions. You're just like, okay, yeah.
I believe this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Akwaeke Emezi is, I think, possibly going to be one of my favourite authors. I've made myself a rule. I have to enjoy 3 of their books. I've only read 2 so far, and I've loved them both. So
they're a contender, though.
I think so. Yeah. The other one I read was "You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty," which is another fantastic book, and that's a adult romance. And one I really want to read is "The Death of Vivek Oji," which is supposed to be extremely emotional. So yeah. So. Unintentionally, they were all fast reads as well.
So you could just do all of them like a month.
Yeah.
You could just make your own trans readathon month.
Yeah, just do it.
In April when this comes out.
Do it in Pride Month if you want.
Oh, yeah.
Add this
won't
to
be
your
long
list.
after that.
June, isn't it? Pride Month, is
Yeah.
it? Yeah. There you go.
Well, I actually looked up when all the prides were for a work thing. And I was like surprised, like there's one that's like June, there's one that's July, there's ones that are really late this year, and the ones that are really early is some in May.
Like specifically Pride or for
Pride events in different cities.
Oh, okay. That's strange. But okay.
Yeah, there's one that's really early in May, and there's one that's late June, and one's like mid-July. Because there's cities where my workplace has stores.
Yeah.
Which is specifically what I was looking at.
Looking what you can like align with or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Did you see the new... Okay, so this isn't something I would normally care about, but the new, like, Olympics costume or whatever? Technically called a kit, but I refuse to refer to PE stuff as kits.
It's not. I think it's the football outfit.
Yeah.
Football outfit. It's the Euros, because the Euros is this year. Because I know that from my work as well, because it's an event that's going to affect...
People were complaining and saying, like, trying to bring LBGT into it, and that's what came up on my feed, and I looked at it and I was like, there's no rainbows. So
I saw this whole one of like, it was like a skit, obviously, where she was like, well, we've never changed the football kit before.
I think I saw that exact skit, yeah.
And then it's like, she's like, oh wait, no, this isn't the one from the controversy, hold on, this one, we've never, that's different too. What about this? Oh, that's still not the one. And she went through like 5 or 6 different kits that they've done.
I don't understand. Like, I was literally like...
It's the woke agenda.
At what point did someone drag the queers into it? There's no rainbow on it. We're not there.
The queers couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah, like literally half of us don't even like football probably.
Although some of them wore rainbow armbands, and that was meant to be a big controversy last year, wasn't it, or something? I don't really know football stuff.
Like, if you don't want everyone, i.e. me, to assume that if you're a football follower, you are a racist and a homophobe, stop acting like both those things.
Like, you don't want to be tarred with the same brush. Maybe tell us that you're not.
Yeah, like... Instead of loudly shouting that you are because they changed your costumes and now it's a queer issue. It's not. No one cares.
There's a lot of this.
The costume looks cute. I don't know what your problem is.
Leave it alone. It's woke agenda.
It's not woke agenda. They're just...
It's just generations below you becoming a lot more accepting. And then corporations trying to take advantage of that fact.
Well, the fact is, if they don't update the costume, how can they sell it? How can they sell more of them?
It's corporations trying to take advantage of younger generations being generally...
capitalism. It's nothing to do with gays. It's the same as like when people get really pissy like around Pride Month when companies start doing and it's like they don't want it. The gays don't want it.
So
they look shit.
I'm advocating for my company because we have lots of products that could be used by businesses or people who are taking part in Pride.
Yeah.
And I'm talking in vague terms. I'm sure if you can find my LinkedIn and find out where I work, but yes, that I'm trying to like push for us to do something because it's like it's going to be about how can we support businesses that are supporting Pride. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be changing our logo for the month, and people are just very nervous because of these things of like the big trend last year of people saying like it's corporate tokenism.
It's so hard to get
and
right.
It's like,
well, no, it's not. Just get it right.
Yeah, it's just like I think it's to do with what was the messaging around what you say. Are you just changing your logo for the month? Yeah. You know,
you like, okay, I'm gonna come at one company because they're a perfect example and we're never gonna get sponsored by them, so it's fine. Starbucks, like they bring out like a whatever rainbow cup or whatever, but then they don't do much the rest of the year to support any diverse community or to be overly inclusive.
Or like Walmart having a range of
like Target have their clothes, don't they? And then the rest of the year they literally do not give a shit. Like yeah.
So I can see I
that's where you've got to be careful as a company. You've got to be you've got to be supporting all year round, or people know you're just trying to make money.
Well, because my previous workplace, because it was in the science industry, I was like, we've got no business posting about this or changing our logo for the month. We're not going to raise money for a charity that's relevant. We're not doing anything besides like changing the logo. Like I was like, no.
Are you highlighting members of the research team that are gay? Like,
we didn't have any staff members who were openly queer in that I knew they were queer just from them being about.
Can't be pushing.
So I couldn't go and hunt down.
Are you gay?
You know, no one wanted to do like a Pride bake sale. That like no one did that in our company. I was like, because the people it was controversial at that company because I just refused to do it because I was like, we are a scientific corporate B2B.
Yeah, we do not need to be doing this.
We've got no business because it's not showing that we're supporting staff members because we've got no staff members that we know of that are out.
Yeah.
That I know
that
of.
That are openly wanting to be supported.
Yeah, and sadly that they don't really generally want to be put on social media anyway, our scientists. Yeah.
You're not like running a foundation to help queer scientists or, you know.
See, it's because our competitor did something.
Yeah.
But they have a huge head office. They did events outside. They did like a whole bake sale thing. So that
they went for it.
They had a reason.
Yeah.
You know, it was part of their corporate fundraising for the year. It was one of their corporate staff retention events. Like, it made sense. I was like, we're not even fucking doing someone bringing in some rainbow cupcakes.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys not see how I'm like right in this?
Yeah, that this is just not. Yeah.
It's not right for us, and not that I don't think we should support, but I was like, it's got to be supporting in the right way. If you care that much, make a donation to a charity.
I've had like issues with previous clients when I do like their social media presence where they get upset that I've mentioned St. Patrick's Day but nothing for St. George's Day, and I'm like, yeah, but I really don't want to be catering to that crowd, and surely you don't.
Well, also, yeah, St George's Day isn't like a whole thing, not internationally, especially.
But people get really angry, don't they, that it's not?
Yeah.
Gammons get really angry that it's not, and I'm like, okay, tell me what's so great about St George, because he's literally a Greek person. Like.
So for I realise we have a lot of non-UK listeners.
Yeah.
So you probably haven't even heard of St George's Day. It's almost
exactly.
It's supposedly like the British equivalent, right?
I guess.
I feel like we're just going to be shouting at me about this.
I mean, I guess, but
I don't even know what it's about.
It's about.
I don't even know who St George is.
Well, I looked this up. He is a Greek. No, he's a Turkish gentleman. So he's not even English. I mean, St Patrick isn't Irish, but you know, whatever. And he helped the Romans with something. So literally nothing. He was made a patron saying nothing to do with England.
Then why do the football crowd, especially?
Because they don't know anything about it. They just like to shout about being British. And I'm like, mate, go eat some beans on toast. Come on. Calm down.
I used to when I could be asked to be more political with people, I used to be like, especially I'm like the immigration thing, that's a hot topic in the UK still, because they're trying to point flags one way and like, don't look at us while we starve our whole country. It's not our fault. I used to be like, but we're all descended from immigrants. We're not from here. Unless your ancestry, if you've done your ancestry and your ancestry says you're, you know...
Yeah, like mine.
Yeah. I mean,
Mine's depressingly
yours is
British.
like 97% white British.
Mine is rather depressing. I've now ruined that with my children. I was like,
watering it down.
Let's get something in here, some spice.
Well, I said to them, like, well, I am a European mutt. And I say that in a joking way.
Yeah,
that's not a thing. But I'm like, you know, my ancestry is Italian, German, maybe Spanish, that's unconfirmed, Irish, English, you know, and that's the ones we know of from, like, records. There might be more thrown in there, I don't fucking know. All I know is I'm pasty rose white in the winter and olive toned in the sun. Like, when I... like when I got a fake tan for a friend's wedding, all of my friends looked at me and they were like, that's the colour you're supposed to be, isn't it? And I was like, fuck you.
I am the colour I'm supposed to be.
As in, like, they were like, if you saw sunshine, that's you actually look really like healthy. And I was like, everyone looks healthy with a tan, but
yeah, it's just because you don't look like a Victorian starving child, like whatever. And also that's very cultural as well, because there's a lot of cultures where you do not look healthy when tanned. You look the preferred is pale.
Well, yeah, so when I travelled to Southeast Asia, obviously I got a tan because it was hot. And then one of our tour guides, we had a bit of time, just like I finished walking around first and she was waiting, so I sat with her, and she was a local girl to I can't remember where I was. It was either Vietnam or Myanmar, you know, very different places. It was one of them. We'd been to a temple. If you do 7 weeks of travelling, it gets really hard to keep track. But anyway, she was a lovely local girl who had literally learned English like just last year in like perfect English. Putting us all to shame.
Well, yeah.
So we were sort of showing...
Anyone can put us to shame, to be fair.
So we were showing each other pictures on her phone because she was quite young. She was younger than me at the time I was travelling. I was like 25 on that trip, I want to say. 23, 25. Older than most of the other people travelling.
Yeah. Like,
they were all 18.
Yeah,
and I was like, I was a veteran, but I wasn't quite one of the cool, old, weird ones.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like a weird middle ground, but they didn't know where I sat. So we were showing each other pictures, and I showed her one of my like Facebook profile pictures where I'm very much not tanned. She's like, oh, you look beautiful there. Your skin is so white and pale. She's like, you look so pale and beautiful. And I was like, where I'm from, where the way I look now, people are going to say I look better than in that picture. She was like, but you look much prettier in that picture. Again, there's a certain bluntness in that part of Southeast Asia.
You look like dog shit right now.
She was like, you look much prettier in that picture. Yeah. And I was like,
thanks.
I was like, where I'm from, your skin tone and how you look right now is the one that people are aspiring to. And she was like, really? And like, because she was quite young, it must have been Myanmar, because they hadn't Yeah, because their borders have only been open 5 years.
Ah, okay.
When I went, and they'd only had e-visas for like 6 months before I went. It was all very new, like the amount of tourists they had. And she was really young, so obviously still just meeting Western people more and more then.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, but she was like, no one's ever said that to me before. I was like, yeah, your skin tone is beautiful where I'm from. And she was like, that's so interesting.
We always
like,
want what we don't have.
Anyway, that was quite a tangent we just went on.
Yeah.
Where did we start? Oh.
The football kit. I don't know why the football kit. Oh, because it's slightly...
It was on TikTok
slightly
a bit lately.
to trans stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, read those books. Read trans all year round.
I think we
read
started
about
at-
trans joy.
Do your own trans readathon in June, and then we kind of went from there. Oh, God. Sorry, guys.
If you've enjoyed this episode, I was going to say they're not all quite as chaotic, but they generally are. But we would love to have you as a regular listener. Please
We won't
consider...
chaos till the end.
Yeah. We just mix it up. Please consider following us and rating us wherever you listen to your podcast episodes. Consider downloading. You can do it as an auto download. Also, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. We have a link for our Discord, which you can come and join. That'll be in the description everywhere or linked everywhere. And if you would like to support us financially, you can join us on Ko-fi as a membership, and you will get a link to a more private Discord channel. So yeah, it's not too late to join our buddy read as well if you want to join with that.
Oh, yeah, I think this one comes out very late in April, but you've still got time.
Yeah, so we're aiming to do our chat about it. It'll be like the beginning of May, so you've still got time to read it. If it's on KU, and it is a indie published book, and it's called
Trial of the Sun Queen
by
Nisha J. Tuli.
Thank you.
I like how your brain is just not retaining that.
No, I just apparently refuse. I don't know if we got linked, but maybe we should have a link. Anyway, yeah, come join us.
No, it's linked in the description.
Perfect. Come join us.
And the one I've been doing lately, there's 3 bullet points at the bottom that should say clearly the Discord link, the buddy read, and then all our other links.
And we will speak to you next week.
Goodbye.